All right, let's go ahead and start this chat, everyone. Welcome to Chat from the Deep, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 63, so if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that because there will be spoilers. I am your DM, Eric, and joining me we have Gottwald's player, Chris.
Hello.
And Max player, Raymond, will be hopping on here in a second. So this begins the fourth leg of the mega dungeon, which is still all one, technically still all one big dungeon area, but there's just
Yeah,
different.
it's one of those mega dungeons.
It is, yeah. There's just different like biomes, almost like different sections of this dungeon. Even though this is back to that original room, but it's in a whole nother area of that room, so
Right.
it's got a different feel to it. And yeah, it's all crazy, like mechanized and pipes and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it is a very different feel from the last like the section of the dungeon, I guess, where it
Which,
was all very like underwater and a temple based and
yeah, which I
yeah.
like that. I like that even though it's one big dungeon, it has all these different sections that feel very distinctly different. And I like that the brain thing, at least the way I use them also, is that it takes you to each one of those basically as like a quest marker, as an excuse to explore that
Right.
area.
Yep.
So we fought the mutated Sawagan Baron Thralls with souped up armor and weapons that did not unfortunately get to do too much. Although I will say there's something to be said about a fight that's not like a big nasty fight. Like not every fight needs to be this horrifying crunch of spell slots and hit points. So
Was it that way by design, or was it that way because we just shut down the enemies?
I think a little of
we just
both. Like there's
okay.
only two enemies, even though they are very. In fact,
Okay.
what was their CR rating? They're pretty strong single hand. Yeah, they're CR5s. So they'd be like boss fights for low level party, and there were two of them.
Okay.
And like I said, they had kind of enhanced gear. But yeah, you guys shut them down pretty well. And then there was one whole round where I just did not hit with like triple attacks at all. It's like, okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then we explored the
We
right.
we didn't even get to see what their psychic blades did.
No. Yeah, they're just powerful swords, I guess, that do psychic damage. They had the Blood Frenzy too, but you guys were fresh out of the rest, so Blood Frenzy
Yep.
didn't affect too much. I remember that being a horrifying thing in the lower levels.
It was very horrifying. I feel like there was one session where it down like three of us.
Yeah.
Just a couple Swagans on a ship. Yeah.
Then we basically explored the pipe room. Kind of went from one fight to another.
Mm-hmm.
I did use the creatures as written in here, which was a Mind Flayer plus two trolls. Literally the troll stat block, just had different tokens on them.
Just different art. That's not the regular troll art.
No,
right?
it's not. Yeah, because it's the art that came with the. Or actually, it might have been art that I found. I don't remember. Because I think the art. I don't think they had art, but I wanted to find something that looked like a mutated monster thing.
Okay.
Which I'm in favor of using existing stat blocks and just reskinning them as something else.
Yeah.
And the players don't quite realize it, but maybe eventually you can meta knowledge and you're like, oh, okay, this is a thingy. But at least at first you're like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
As designed, the
to that
pipe.
point, you got to that point. You probably could have gotten away without calling these things trolls. And we wouldn't have. I mean, like I said, you reminded me at one point, but I think I think
Yeah, I should have
somehow knew like, oh yeah, fire. That's gonna kill them.
I should have called them mutants. I think was a better name. I think I fell back on troll and kept using that, but yeah, they're supposed to be like because what you've seen basically is these mind flayers are like, they're just engineering and redesigning creatures and creating different thralls and kind of playing around with just mad scientist shit. So
yeah,
it's a lot of cool body horror stuff, and I'm trying to. I figure troll is kind of a cool stat block to use that for.
It is, yeah.
So those are two troll stat blocks, and then the Mind Flayer, which is one of the first ones you fought. Although it's a weird stat block, they don't actually have any ranged attacks besides their cone psychic blast. And they're
okay, yeah.
So it's
they don't have spells. They don't have any of this. Like,
they have like dominate monster they can use once basically.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which I did. So something I had written in my notes is like, okay, there's monsters a little bit further in, but if the Mind Flayer sees that these guys are kicking ass, which of course, when Sovereign unleashed a fireball and did all that damage, I was like, I'm gonna have that Mind Flayer go get reinforcements. So that's what he did, and then he turned around and still did a Psychic Blast, but that's what called in those other reinforcements, and I rolled initiative for those creatures.
Right.
The pipe thing was part of the adventure, which is that if you miss an attack, you have to make a dexterity saving throw, a melee attack. You have to make a dexterity saving throw, and if you fail that, then you destroy a pipe, and a bad thing happens. But then it also says may also be destroyed by certain spell effects at the DM's discretion. And I also ruled that if a range attack misses in that room, then it's also going to suck. Because I was like, I'm really excited about this table. It's pretty crazy stuff. I guess we did see half of them by the end. We saw the explosive one finally, which is just a fiery attack. The smoke one, as originally written, it is supposed to be visibility reduced to 5 feet until the end of the pipe-breaking creature's next turn. So it actually was originally supposed to be what Raymond was saying, which is that it kind of is a fog cloud situation.
Oh.
Which maybe I should have done, but I figured blinded would be easier. Just, hey, everybody's blinded. But then as we pointed out in the session, like, oh, wait, if everybody's blinded, then it doesn't really do anything. It's a weird effect to throw at everybody.
And I still don't quite understand. And I think I've just gathered the way you're ruling it, but I still don't quite understand like how it's supposed to play out with blinded creatures. Are they supposed to be able to like target like oh yeah, I know a person's over there, so I can shoot at them, but I have disadvantage? Or are they supposed to just like I can't see that person over there, so I can't even like know to shoot them, you know?
Yeah.
It's very weird, like the reality of a situation meeting the rules of the book is it's tricky there.
Right. If you just go by the rules, it just says a blinded creature can't see and automatically fails an ability check that requires sight. But then it specifically says attack rolls against creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage.
Right.
So you almost have to.
So by that logic, even though you're blinded,
yeah,
you can still quote unquote see an enemy 30 feet away.
You could target an enemy.
Perhaps. Yeah, exactly.
But then there's certain spell effects that say you have to be able to see your target. So,
but if that's true, then you can't see a target to target them with a range attack. So yeah, that's where it gets
it's weird. Yeah. Maybe I'd need to look more of that up as a DM and make sure I have it pretty firmly in mind, because I don't want to make blinded too strong, but also not too weak.
Yeah. So I feel like this goes into the same, which I think we've kind of resolved over time.
I guess the big difference is like, I guess, range attacks, because I think melee attack I would always let somebody attack with disadvantage.
Yeah.
But a ranged attack, I could see that being pretty difficult. It also depends on though, like how, like, you know, we're all in turn-based combat mode. If the enemy knows that the other person hasn't gone yet, so they haven't moved, then would you argue like, okay, they can attack with disadvantage because they know they're right there.
They know they're standing there.
But then if a round happens and they somehow know that person's had a turn, then it becomes a question of like, okay, can you actually even target that space, or how does that work?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a funky system.
Yeah.
And
it almost needs like, just because I got this on the brain, it needs like Final Girl rules where the first step is the targeting step. Like there's rules around what you can target and where you can target, and then there's the attack, right?
Or Gloomhaven like does that too, where it's like targeting is always the very first thing that they do.
The first step is targeting, yeah. But anyway, I'll let you say everybody's blinded. Nothing happens really because everybody's blinded.
Yeah, so I think I did regret changing that, and maybe I should have just done the visibility reduced to 5 feet and turned it into some kind of a fog cloud, because we have rules for fog cloud. So I should have said like, hey, there's a fog cloud in the room. The weird thing about that one though is, as we see, if that one repeats in the same room, then nothing really happens.
Right.
Like there's no, and unfortunately that happened. It's a D6 table, by the way, and we saw the first two like repeat like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, come on.
So we technically have only seen 3 then?
I think we've only seen 3, because the third one we saw was the grease one. Yeah, we saw the explosion.
Oh, right.
The smoke, and then the grease, which was the prone. Yeah.
So there's 3 others. Wow. Okay.
There's 3 others. Which I don't know.
Maybe we'll see them next time, because we got a whole other people to fight apparently.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to give anything away just yet, but.
Well, at least one of them. I don't know if you were broadcasting it yet, but is that Kazan?
Yes, that was the tease.
Okay, I was like, wait, that looks like the Kazan art, but I don't remember
that was the tease
well enough. Okay.
Yep, it's finally a character from way back in the past who, as you recall, had a whole quest arc with the Kraken Society.
It did.
So I was like, this whole campaign, I'm like, I've got to figure out a way to use this character in some way, because if there was ever a past character that'd be directly involved in this quest line, it would be this character.
I love that you're doing that, because Aquarian Society was such a big part of Storm King's Thunder that it's like, it makes sense they would be brought in somehow.
Yeah.
The events of that campaign.
Yep. He's stuck inside one of these things.
Okay. Wonder how he got there. He's also psychic, if I remember correctly. He's got like some psychic abilities.
Yes. Yeah, I think, God, what was he?
I think it was Warlock.
Paladin Warlock?
Else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I took the Great Old One, which had all the Warlock psychic powers.
Yep.
And then he had like the martial abilities of the Paladin. Trying to make a Jedi warrior. And that was before they even had like the Hex Blade, I think.
I think so.
So now it's probably easier to do all that, because I think I had to
straight up that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, now I think the Hexblade lets you use charisma for all your stats, so I had to like straight up have like high strength to do all that.
Yeah.
Back in my day, we had to.
That's right.
Brutalize.
We had to level up our strength.
Make our multi-classes just insanely inefficient to make it happen. Yeah. Otherwise, we didn't actually see. Well, I guess we saw a little bit of chunk of this place as we carved our way forward. This was kind of the path that I figured you would take, because again, you know where the brain is telling you to go. So,
is there a point to that hallway, or is that just like
I don't know what the fuck is going on with this dungeon design? Like, I tried to explain it the best I could.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's such a funky little thing right there. That's this hallway that connects to nothing
to the same room.
It's a trick.
Back. It's a trick.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
You're like, it's time.
Right.
I almost wish there was a trap in that hallway.
Then it would be
like, it's just a fuck you room.
There is a. I love the fuck you rooms. There is a trap in the big room that is the communal room, but because we were going into this big pipe room full of hazards, I was like, I don't want to fucking run a trap right before the trap hazard room. That just doesn't seem like a good idea. So I just eliminated that. So it did make this room extra goofy. But yeah, I don't have a good explanation for it. Except what I was like, oh, it's an alien design. It's crazy.
Yeah,
there's like pipes everywhere. I don't.
They don't like walking in straight lines. They like to walk in squiggly patterns.
Maybe the mind flayers aren't good with mechanical stuff, and that's how they make it work. Because their primary method is through bioengineering.
Yep.
Oh, and then the big guy was a dire troll.
Oh, okay.
Which
I'm not sure I've ever seen one of those before.
Yeah, it's just a nastier version of a troll. Had 180
5 fucking attacks.
5 attacks and 180 hit points, plus 11 to hit. This guy was a beast.
Yeah.
Nice little boss fight. And yet, you guys did a good job. I mean, Cheese is such a pain in the ass, because it just sticks out in front and just absorbs all those blows.
Yep.
But, that was a lot he took.
That's what he does, yeah. But I took a good chunk out of Walden Mac doing so.
You did. That's the first time we've seen something to quintuple attack.
5 attacks, yeah. He actually has another ability that I didn't get a chance to use, but it's called Whirlwind of Claws, which you think that's already what he's doing. Instead of his multi-attack, it's just everybody within 10 feet has to make a dex save or take a shit ton of like slashing damage. So he just literally does like this crazy like thing. But you guys did a good job of never quite like all got near him.
You never got out of the room, right?
Right. If there was ever more than like 2 people around him, I'd probably do that. But otherwise, his multi-attack actually does more damage if you can hit with most of those attacks.
It's a cool monster. Like Ray said, we don't normally fight monsters that like a single one of them is a party threat. You know, we usually are fighting like lots of enemies on the fields.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a CR13. And what's interesting is that evolved into a big boss fight, which, again, I wasn't necessarily going to do. It kind of depended on the fight. But after Sabra...
Well, doesn't a CR13 mean that a party of 13 players, he's an equivalent match for them? Isn't that what that means?
Technically, but CR
I know it doesn't
yeah,
actually work
it's real funky.
Like logistically, yeah.
Yeah, it gets real goofy. Because also, they balance all their monsters to where the players don't have any magic items or something weird. It's a weird balancing factor. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a guideline, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
to say he's a monster that's like up to our level. It sounds like.
Yes, and you felt that too. You guys were like, oh shit, this guy's pretty meaty. And I definitely did not fudge his hit points. He was taking all that shit.
Nice.
But yeah, as I said, these guys were meant to aggro basically to that room if the other Mind Flayer was able to get down there and kind of warn them. And because they can speak psychically, he can probably do it a little bit easier than most.
Right.
So what do we think about the pipe room? Because that's kind of the first time we've done something where it's like every missed attack could be danger.
I love it. I like anything where like the environment is involved in the fight. Because to
Yeah.
me, it's like fights are always three components, right? It's you, it's the enemy, and then it's the environment.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the environment is just nothing. It's
Just
just plus
static,
zero.
yeah.
You know, it's a static. It's an area to fight, and you've got dimensions, and that's it. But anytime you can put anything in the environment that makes the fight more interesting, I feel like it just ups that factor by, 2/3 or 1/3.
Yeah, and you all
whatever.
always do a great job interacting. Whether it's like just a 10-foot pit or something, like it's always something you want to interact with too, I've noticed. And
Yep.
I've also noticed you all really appreciate having those random tables to roll on. I think it just ups the chaos.
It's just
And it makes it like just that more like a public, like, whoa, what's gonna happen now thing.
Uh-huh.
Which again, this was not something I designed. This was the designer put this in there,
Okay.
and
Nice.
I think the only thing I changed was to make it so that every ranged attack was an automatic. Every ranged attack and every AOE damage spell, except for that psychic one, was gonna explode a pipe.
Trigger it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
especially the first couple didn't do any damage. I was like, fuck it, let's keep exploding these things. Let's do some damage, because I knew there were some damage ones in there.
You're right.
But, to be fair, it affected everybody in the room. So,
Yep.
my own guys were getting knocked down and blinded and all that shit. So
yeah.
I think that kind of added to the fun factor a little bit.
It did, yeah, for sure. Because we could try to use it to our advantage. Like I tried to use it to my advantage. Kind of worked, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. Most of the fights that are like memorable in my head are mostly memorable, not as much because of the enemies we were facing, but because of where we were facing them.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I think that's...
the one that pops to my head immediately is I can't remember the name of the place, the sludge factory place. And we're fighting on like a catwalk above like a sludge lake. And that was just a really neat fight because we were in just
Was that the brewery after the bees?
No, that was this campaign.
Oh, this campaign.
Yeah. We were in like a city that it was like all pollution.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The
like
warehouse,
potions or
the
something,
styes, yeah.
Yeah, but we got to the top of that warehouse and we're like on a catwalk.
Yeah.
Just way above the lake kind of, and there's a ship elevated up here that's being held up, and we were fighting above everything.
Yeah.
That was all really neat.
Yeah. That whole adventure was really good. That was from from Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Mm.
That went very well. I think it'd be fun when our epilogue and recap to like kind of rank the individual set pieces and adventures in here.
Oh,
They weren't full adventures, but there was kind of like you had beginning, middle, and ends, and just see kind of what maybe worked better than others would be some.
I mean, I would like you to break out for us like
which
the
ones
chunks
are
of from what? Yeah, because I know you've told us before in the the chat sessions, but yeah,
it'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of fighting in this one, and we just did a session with a lot of fighting. So probably some maybe less fighting next time. Just 2 big combat-filled sessions. Probably need another short rest now.
I definitely need another short rest now.
Me too.
Yeah, you especially. You got on one turn. You got like eviscerated
60
by that
damage.
thing.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't even think I was
Gottwald took
like
like 80, I think.
Yeah, he did. It wasn't really him. He did like 1 or 2 hits on me, but just the whole room in general.
Yeah.
Did a lot of the pipes. The other trolls, just in general, I took a lot of damage.
Yeah. I don't know. Did the other trolls? I guess one of them might have hit you. Literally,
Maybe
Sovereign
one
did
of them hit me.
did 50 damage to both of them,
Yeah.
and they have an average of about 80 life.
Oh,
so by the time
more
they
than
took
half.
that 50 damage, they were at like 30% or whatever, 20% health. And I think you were able to just kind of coup de grace both of them on your turn. But I think they did get 1 attack off.
Yeah.
Anything else about session 63?
Fun stuff.
We're getting closer to the end. All right, I think that'll do it for this week's Chapter of the Deep. Thank you to Raymond and Chris. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you then.